Wreckfest 2 just got a release date, but before you buy it, I wanted to make this video to warn SimRacers why they should avoid this game. There's a lot to cover, a lot of really important points, and I think if you watch this video, it will save you the grief and will save you from wasting your money on this. So let's get on with the video, guys. If you are lacking a sense of humour, remember you need to subscribe to the channel so you can then enjoy unsubscribing. And if you're lacking brain cells, you can click the like button. There it is. Despite Wreckfest 1 being one of my favourite racing games, it has some really severe problems as a simulator title or a title to appeal to sim racers. Now, I hadn't played Wreckfest for a while, so I had to reinstall this afresh on my sim rig yesterday, and we did this whilst live streaming to then capture this B-roll. And right away, one of the most egregious issues stood out with this game that would probably, in and of itself, put off any real sim racer from playing it. And that is that within 2 minutes, we had managed to bind our force feedback steering wheel, which is a Moser wheel, our pedals, housing valve pedals, our gear shifter and everything, and it just worked straight away. And obviously even the most basic of racing simulators at a minimum should have you editing some ini files or changing something outside of the game for it to then work in the game. It all just working straight away, I'll be honest, was actually not just disappointing but also a little bit confusing to me. And this whole setting up of the game also brings attention to how lacking its user interface is, in that it doesn't have that really fun point-and-click puzzle adventure component that racing simulators have. Like many of you guys that no longer have hair, I am a massive fan of 90s point-and-click adventure games, and I really relish that experience of working out how things go together to get what you want. Mist, Riven, and of course racing simulator menus. This title, it's all just too easy. It's like they've designed the user interface so that people can just get into the game and drive straight away, which it removes the suspense and the excitement. And I think maybe just out of sheer laziness, they haven't even put in that feature of the pause or the sort of long fade and sort of stutter between scene to scene. Everything just runs really quickly with the menus. It's super snappy, to the extent where at times I forgot whether or not I was in the game or in the menu. It kind of all just blurred into a singular enjoyable experience. And I think a lot of you guys that appreciate art appreciate that you need sort of highs and lows. You need to separate things out, and sim racing titles really absolutely nail that, but with this game it was just a complete failure. Now, another thing you need to be aware of is that Wreckfest 1 and Wreckfest 2 will have a fully fledged single player career mode where you have a lot of fun events and things to progress through against AI, with events ranging from Figure of 8, Destruction Derby, traditional races, lawnmower races, you know, a really big range of stuff that keeps it engaging and novel and exciting and interesting to play through. And there's also a really disgusting display of humour in the game which might make you smile on occasion, which obviously that's something that sim racers find difficult, if not traumatic. And one of the sayings I remember my grandma saying to me between beatings was that you only get out of things what you put into them. And, you know, with racing simulators, you have to put everything into them. You have to come up with your own multiplayer servers, you have to come up with your own single player missions and objectives. It's really up to you, and obviously you then get the reward from that. If the game does all that for you and acts directly as entertainment that you've paid for with the expectation of being entertained, well, you're not going to get that much from it, and you're certainly not going to get the same degree of enjoyment from it. Now, moving away from those components, the graphics and performance of this game really have to be called out. I loaded straight into things without changing any settings, and the game ran really quickly, looked really sharp, and we didn't have any stutter or, you know, anything to correct and enjoy fixing just to be able to play the game. It all just works straight away. And this also really makes me question how good this game is, or if it's using my computer properly. Unless the game struggles to run at 60 or 100 FPS on a £2,500 graphics card, is it really using your equipment, you know? I'm just really skeptical. And then to make things worse, I actually loaded this up onto my Steam Deck, and again, it just worked straight away and looked fantastic. So it just basically means that your PC's pointless and you wasted money on all this hardware, and I actually just don't appreciate that. And it gets worse. On the Steam Deck, playing it with just the joystick, those controls worked immediately, and I was able to play the game pretty much just as enjoyably with a gamepad as I was a steering wheel. So it's making me really call into question that what's the point of spending many thousands of pounds on all this sim racing stuff. No, I don't want this whole video to be negative, but I think it is just really important for me to highlight this stuff as a service to you guys that are proper sim racers. So moving to the online in this, I'm not quite sure what they've done, but they've really messed up the online netcode. Unlike iRacing, which has really cleverly designed this sort of respect people's space game mechanic, where you have to really give about half a metre gap between vehicles, and sometimes even in iRacing they have this really clever sort of Jedi invisible contact thing. Again, really well thought out design to make people respect space and drive cleanly. This, unfortunately, you can just drive straight into people and lean on them. So this just encourages people to drive aggressively and do overtakes that really aren't what you'd expect from a racing simulator. And again, take away that really enjoyable mechanic of trying to learn through repeating things for hours on hours what the invisible arbitrary mechanics of the racing simulator are. So people can just jump into this and what they see is basically what they will get. It really is just overly simplistic, and I think just punishes players that like to put a lot of time into their real racing simulators and learn those mechanics. You know, some might say, oh well, it's more accessible and much closer to like a 90s touring car race or actual real world banger racing. But again, what I'm just trying to highlight here what it is that makes a simulator a proper simulator, and why if you're a real sim racer, this title will absolutely just sicken and disgust you. And ultimately, from all I can gather, Wreckfest 2 looks like it will be more of what was in Wreckfest 1, but with more content, more to do, you know, and more polish. So, as I say, if you're a real sim racer, this is a title to avoid. I will brave it. I like to engage in lots of different things as a responsibility that I take for running this channel. So we will be getting Wreckfest 2 and we will be playing it online. But I obviously you guys probably won't want to. So thanks for watching this. Until the next one, happy tea drinking, take care, and goodbye.